Hey guys, how are you? My name's Carly. I am at the.blonde.chronicles on Instagram, and I'm so excited to be here today. I'm going to show you guys how I transform my clients from kind of an all-over dark-ish, maybe she's got some little bright pieces on her ends, but this is my go-to technique for creating kind of a lived-in but really bright look. My approach to everything is just less can be a lot more. I think as hairstylists, we really overcomplicate ourselves and overcomplicate the process, and we just do tons of steps and so many processes when it could really be done in a lot less. So I don't do this because I'm lazy or because I want to move on to the next client. It's simply because I think a lot of times we can just simplify if we break down the steps and we don't have to spend 2 hours foiling. So I'm going to show you guys that today, and I'm really excited. So I'm going to jump right in. This is my beautiful model. She is about a natural level, I'd say like 6-ish. She's got some old leftover color, but it's been a really long time since she's done her hair. So what I want to do today is brighten all this up. I want to refresh around her face, especially give her a really bright, bold money piece. I want to bring up her blonde throughout this crown area throughout this top area where the color will show, and I also want to brighten up the ends of her hair. So when I think about how I'm going to approach a color, what I do a lot is I take into consideration where the color is going to show the most, and that's where I want to spend the most time foiling. So most of the time on pretty much everybody, where the color shows the most is right around their face, right up here over their part, and then these ends of their hair, and underneath right here down around their underneath hairline. So that's where I'm going to focus the most of my attention. That's where I'm going to spend the most time foiling. I will scatter foils throughout and brighten everywhere, but it's really important to consider where the color is going to show most and where you want to spend the most time. I've so many times started in the back of a foil, spent like 45 minutes foiling the back. I barely get through the back, and I'm like, I still have, it's already taken me almost an hour to do this. Like, I need to move on to the other section. So now I approach hair in a different way, and I just think about ahead of time what is the best approach to get the color to show where it will make the most difference. So I'm going to spin her around and show you guys all of her hair. So underneath here, it's pretty much completely dark. There's very, very little color down here. So I am going to brighten these ends especially, but I will break this up a little bit throughout. So let's get started. I always start in the front. Again, I like to spend time where it's going to make the most impact. The front is one of those places. Mostly clients want to feel really bright in the front, and a lot of times, even if you didn't do anything except that front money piece, they would feel a lot brighter and a lot better. So I'm going to start in the front. I mixed up Schwarzkopf Vario Blonde with 10 volume. I'm going to start with 10 volume. I like to start with 10 volume and then move up as I go throughout the head. As I'm getting through the back and stuff, I may bump it up to 20 so that all the foils kind of catch up to each other. So I'm going to start in the front, and I'm going to start right above her ear. I'm going to take, still getting used to working with masks, I'm going to take a little section. You'll notice also I haven't done any elaborate sectioning on her hair. To me, it's not the way I work. It doesn't help me any if I've taken all these elaborate sections. I just kind of know I'm approaching the front first, and then I'll head to the back. So if though you work best with sectioning the hair first, these are the sections I would do. I would take right in front of her ear like that and clip that off. And then I would do the exact same thing over here, and that would be my sectioning. So I know that's very simple, and some of you guys are probably cringing watching me do that, but to me, taking a ton of time sectioning doesn't really have any value to my service. So let's start back over here. So I'm going to use foils. I like to use foils as opposed to traditional balayage, just because to me I get a lot of control with it. I know what to expect. I generally have an idea of what the lightener is going to lift to, how it's going to work. I think it's really impressive and incredible when people can do freehand open air balayage. It's just typically not my go-to approach, especially for something like this where I'm looking to get some of those pieces to at least a level 8, something like that. So I've sectioned off this first section right around her ear. And I'm gonna use this brush. It's like a teasing, it's a teasing brush basically. It's meant for styling and creating backcombing at the roots. So I love it for backcombing though. I feel like it's a lot softer than a traditional comb, and I feel like it makes the tease easier to get out. So I'm gonna take my section here and I'm gonna just weave it, and this is a medium-sized weave, I would say. I want this to look blended, but I don't want it so blended that it disappears, because I do want brightness around her face. So I've got my weave. I'm gonna back comb a little bit, and then I'm gonna grab, I always am doing this process like teasy lighting with this board. And I talk about this all the time. If you guys have been to any of my classes, watched any of my online education, this board has completely revolutionized how I color. It's incredibly helpful to get a smooth, seamless blend. I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it and you're struggling with getting a blended, seamless look. It's so much easier to paint against a hard surface than to try and have your hand under there. It's really, really easy and simple, so I highly recommend. So I'm painting the lightener on, and I'm going all the way up to the edge of the foil. With this technique, again, I'm trying to get really bright around her face. So with these front foils that are right around her hairline, I do want to bring the lightener all the way up to the edge of the foil. And I'm kind of feathering it up, and I do go into the tease a little bit, and I don't feel like that is ever an issue. My pressure is really light up there, so it's never a problem. And I'm pulling it all the way through her ends because she had so little color on there that it was basically none, so I do want to brighten the ends. But if she already had blonde on her ends, I would leave that out. So now I'm going to go right behind that foil, and I'm going to do another one and do the exact same thing. And these are going to be back-to-back foils, and there's going to be no dropout in between them except for the dropout from the weave. So I'm going to weave again. And you could absolutely do this with slices. I still recommend doing this front foil with a weave just because it's right around their face, and if they pull their hair back for ponytails or whatever, it's kind of nice to have a weave there so that it's super soft and blended. But I'm going to do the same exact thing. And I kind of, to use the board, I put the board underneath the hair, and I use my thumb to hold down the hair. So there's tons of tension on this hair, which is part of the reason why it's easy to paint and get a seamless blend. It's really, really tight. There's no like slack in the hair, so that really helps. And I'm getting really good saturation. So I'm using only 10 volume, but it definitely, I'm saturating enough where this will lift her hair. And you have to remember that the front pieces of hair are so much more fragile, and you just want to be really gentle and careful when you're lifting them. So I always start with something low on the front pieces, and I'll bump to something higher. And when I fold, I just fold once like that, and then these ones are on the face, I'll fold again and fold the corners in so that they're not just dragging and hanging in the client's face. But typically back here, I'll only do one fold.
Okay, Carly, so you have some questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm totally ready.
So actually you have a lot of questions about the same thing, and it's about your board.
Yes. I always get so many questions.
If you can tell them what board you're using, and then if they can use this technique with a traditional balayage board as well.
Totally. Any board will work. I've literally seen people at a class, somebody pulled out like a piece of paper that they had just put like tons of layers of duct tape on, and that's what they were using as their board. So anything will work, really. This board, this specific one I'm using, my client actually made for me and like etched my name into it. It's amazing. The board that I typically use is made by Ashley Norman Hair. So her Instagram is Ashley, ASHLEE NORMAN HAIR, and she sells them on her website. She's a hairstylist as well. I went to one of her classes like probably 8 years ago, and she was using it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that, and it's seriously changed everything. So that's where I get the board. I also talk about it a lot on my page, so it's linked there a bunch. So thanks to Ashley. But yes, I know that's always the number one question.
And then what brush are you actually painting with today?
Yeah, so this is a Davines color brush. I just randomly picked it up like a couple years ago and started using it. I love it. It's kind of, it's similar, I should have showed you guys before I put color on it, but it's kind of similar to like from Mar makes awesome ones as well. The bristles are just like flexible, they're not too stiff, and they're kind of feathered at the ends. It's not straight across, which is what I like about it.